Hello, welcome to our feature presentation with your hosts, two new white guys that you have to keep up with. I'm Charlie.
I'm George.
And we're here to talk about movies and stuff. We always spend, whenever we play games, we just start talking about movies for the entire time, and we kind of don't really give a shit. And so we thought, why not film it and put it on YouTube, because surely someone cares enough to watch it, right? So we're going to talk about the new stuff that's happening in the news, what's coming out, what's going live, what's all happening there. And then we're also going to talk about a specific movie. And this week we both went to the cinema to catch the Uncharted movie. And I'm sure we haven't spoken to each other about it since we watched it. But there's probably a lot to be said, I think. So yeah, how you feeling, George? You ready for a new Uncharted series?
Yeah, well, we'll see if that happens. We were talking before the movie came out. I went to book my tickets and I saw that there were quite a few empty seats. So for reference, we're recording on Saturday the 12th, and we both went to see it on Friday the 11th, aka opening day. And my Friday evening opening night screening was I think I was the only person sat in my row.
I was the only person sat in my row. I had 4 other people in the cinema with me. 2 of them who were just eating really loudly and had no idea what was happening in the movie, kept questioning things to each other loudly. And the other 2 were like die-hard Uncharted fans, and they walked out and they were like theorizing about what's going to happen in the next one and all that kind of shit. So, but anyway, let's reserve our conversation for that for the next section. First of all, let's touch on some industry news, the things that are going on. So take it away, George.
So I think the main thing that, I don't know if it interests us, but it's maybe the, I don't know, top priority is all the Lord of the Rings stuff that's coming out. Because we are of an age where Lord of the Rings was pretty cool when we were growing up. And it's something that, endures to this day. Its impact is far and wide, film, TV, whatever. Now, Jeff Bezos, in his infinite wisdom, has said, we can do this, and we can do it just as good as Game of Thrones, apparently. And he
put his damn money where his mouth is. He put half his net worth into this or whatever. Sorry, no, probably like 0.002% of his net worth into this.
Yeah, I think the number right now is like 700 million they've spent on it, like for acquiring it and then actually producing the first season, which damn.
That is
and
brutal.
To be fair, I mean, if we get into like some of the stills and stuff, the production, the sets, costume, everything. I mean, what do you think? I feel like it's the value's kind of coming through.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about this specific image because that explosion in the background that is lighting up the street next to the Galadriel is just a stock element from Action Essentials 2, which has been out since 2011. And also there's some weird like stuff. I'm not sure about the armor so much either, just the actual like plates of armor. The rest of it looks really good. And then some of the other, like just the actual
oh my gosh,
Jeff Goldblum popping up. The actual like production value of the shots look nice, if that makes sense. And all the posters that have come out, I'm sure you've seen them as well. Yeah, I mean they look great. I just don't know. I can never tell because when they released that initial teaser thing of like, oh, this is the name of the Lord of the Rings series that we're doing. When they released that, I thought, God, this looks cheap. And then like, I thought it looked like cheap CGI. And then someone told me it was all practical and I was like, nah. And then I looked and it was. And so if that looks cheap and cheap CGI, then what is the rest of the series going to look like? I don't know.
That really confused me as well, because you're right, there's the whole video of them actually forging the logo or whatever. But then, you go back and watch the actual trailer, and there's the bit where they're like cooling it with the water and everything, and that just looks horrendous. Like, it looks like it's just been a really poor element that's just been... It's very, very confusing.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we have a couple more looks at what they're showing. I mean, there's the one shot of the giant set that's obviously meant to be in some kind of sea or ocean or something. That's this one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
that
clearly,
looks good.
It's not going to be a cheap show.
Yeah.
Or it really shouldn't look cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
But
you can see that they're using pretty good gear and all that kind of stuff. And like, even if you come up to these, like just looking at like, there's a dwarf guy here on the left who like looks better than the Hobbit dwarfs, I think. Like if you think back to the Hobbit and how disgusting some of that looked, how like Play-Doh-y that looked, I think they look a little better. I mean, I don't know. A lot of it, I don't know. I think something that captures Lord of the Rings, the magic of Lord of the Rings, is like how it was shot, what they used to shoot it, when it was shot, where it was shot. Like I there's a kind of difficulty for me where I almost can't get over if they shoot this with the best new modern cameras. I'm just going to be staring at like elves' ears and seeing the seam on their makeup, or seeing the poorly removed seam on their makeup, and like things like that. I feel like the tiny details that come up are going to distract me from the greater picture. I'm going into this quite negatively so that I have a better experience, because hopefully it's impossible for a $1 billion series to be bad, but I don't know.
Well, the other thing is, it's I've talked to you about this a bit before. There's the whole thing of it's going to be impossible to ignore comparing it to the films. I mean, from what I understand, it isn't actually going to be the story of the films or the original trilogy. It's set however many years before.
Yeah.
But then there are enough hints of them clearly, because, everything's just driven by nostalgia and references to the things people already know. So there's the news that Howard Shore's doing the music again. I don't know if I'm just completely off base here, but hearing that just made me like really concerned, because that is just going to be fueling that of just having the comparisons of whenever because his music's going to be similar. It won't be the exact same themes, but you're clearly going to be, whatever you're listening to, you're going to start thinking about the original movies. I feel like it's just going to be shooting itself in the foot a little bit when it does that.
Well, it's the idea. I tweeted about this recently, and we can talk about this some more maybe next week. But like the idea that Book of Boba Fett has come out, and it's very, very clearly Disney going, you like all these things, I'm going to bring them all back for you. And in doing that, they piss everyone off, because like they bring back cool characters or whatever that people love, and then they do something to those characters that people don't agree with. So you have like the people who wanted that character back because they just want to see the thing they like, hate it. The people who didn't want to see this character because it's stupid and an absolute waste of everyone's time, hate it. And then it's like, by nostalgia baiting, you do nothing. You get nowhere with it. You know what I mean? So it's
the classic it's the classic short-term win, where you get that instant reaction and everyone talks about your show and then more people watch it. But then it just becomes clear that they have too many parrot elements, or they just don't have any idea what they are doing with it. And then as it goes on, you realize that, and it completely falls apart.
I'm not sure, man. I mean, I'll happily eat my words when it comes out if it's really good.
Obviously, we want it to be good.
Yeah. I'd just rather go in thinking, oh, this is going to be bad, and then it come out really good, than go in thinking, yes, we're finally getting another Lord of the Rings, and then have the same disappointment as The Hobbit happen again.
I honestly, I don't really believe that it could be bad. It's going to be that classic case of what is the point? It could be fine or maybe even good.
Yeah.
If it is great and everyone loves it and it's, a great addition or whatever, awesome. But I don't know, the chances are so slim, especially with, the way that we've seen this trend go over the last, almost a decade now.
Yeah.
Basically since the Jurassic Worlds and the Force Awakens started this whole thing.
Yeah. It's yeah. And it is a kind of vicious cycle of that. Like even something like Spider-Man. We both walked out of Spider-Man enjoying Spider-Man. But it is impossible to deny that the only reason why I went to see Spider-Man is because I knew the other two Spider-Mans that I actually cared about before this were in it. You know, that kind of thing.
I mean, the credit I'll give that is that it used the nostalgic elements or whatever to prop up the current stuff.
Yeah.
So I can at least give them credit for finding a more
inventive way of including it.
Yeah. Whereas again, you could talk about Star Wars and how you can see they kind of tried to do that with Force Awakens, and then obviously everything just completely fell apart near the end.
Yeah.
Where they caved to the nostalgia.
Yeah. The middle one goes, fuck your nostalgia, let's do something interesting. And then everyone was like, oh, why are you doing this to my nostalgia? And then Disney's like, oh, okay, fine, we'll do the exact opposite of everything that was done in 8. And it just came out even worse.
There's going to be a week where we don't have a movie to talk about, and we're going to instead pivot to just dissecting this. Because I have so many thoughts that are just completely dismissive and rude, right? It's about talking about these fan bases and how the problem when it comes to just listening to them.
Yeah. I mean, I think we almost, maybe that's coming up in the next few episodes, so that like if we continue this show for decades to come, the fucking annoying people stop listening to us by episode 3. We never have to deal with that shit. God. Anyway, you mentioned Jurassic World. Perfect segue. Brand new trailer for the new Jurassic World came out a couple of days ago. I don't know, man. Have a look at some of this. I don't know, man.
I mean, have you even seen Fallen Kingdom?
No. Did not give a fuck. They're picking good dinosaurs, at the very least. Interesting dinosaurs. Parasaurolophus.
Again, they've gone through the same trajectory of the original was the same thing but with a slightly different coat of paint. The second one was the same thing again, where it's the second movie with a different coat of paint, except for the actual storytelling elements and the way that they lead into a third film is so baffling and awful and terrible that they've now had to resort to doing the Star Wars thing again, where they just bring everyone back.
Yeah.
This is also like, my ears are bleeding through my headphones right now. Can you turn this down?
Sorry. They're actually
this
doing,
is so loud.
If you listen to the music that they're playing in the background of this trailer as well, it sounds like the Star Wars thing as well.
Yeah, I know this. That's a stock track from somewhere.
I don't know, but and also like bringing back the OG people like this is hilarious, because the only times they appear in the trailer makes it look like they're cameoing. You know, like they're cameoing for all of like 10 minutes. It doesn't seem like any of the plot includes them. They just seem to be talking in different scenes.
I definitely think there'll be more in the movie for more than just 5 minutes or whatever. I think they'll be scattered throughout. But just the logic of, like, what is the... Okay, in a meta way, the logic is these characters and these actors are popular from the original films. But what is the movie logic of having these people that just got stuck on an island and had to survive for a few hours? What expertise are they bringing to whatever this movie's about?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess it makes sense. You know, they've been killed by dinosaurs before, so they know how to dodge dinosaurs. I don't know what they can solve, as you say, in the movie world. I don't know what they can physically do to stop. Like, because the idea looks like this is, and I'm sure you know this because of the last one, the end of the last one. This looks like Jurassic Park, except the whole world is now the park, right? It's like a zombie apocalypse, except it's dinosaurs instead of zombies. Is what it looks like. It's just, fuck me, man. I don't know.
You want to do your rant, by the way, about what they said with the opening, with that whole scene in prehistoric times?
Oh my god! No, I feel like I'll piss people off. So they've released the first scene, right? They released this ages ago, like 2 years ago or something stupid like that in Blu-ray in what's the big cinemas called? IMAX. There you go. That's the thing I was looking for. Blu-ray and IMAX, very different things.
You fraud.
So they released the first scene, and it's a big dinosaur fighting a T-Rex, right? The T-Rex. It's revealed. It comes to the reveal that it is the T-Rex from Jurassic Park, right? And
one we know.
The T-Rex from Jurassic Park died because of this bigger dinosaur, right? So the idea is that it immediately, in the first like 5 minutes of the movie, is set up the fact that big dinosaur is going to beat T-Rex, whatever, when everyone knows, no, actually, the opposite of that happens, right, in every movie. Regardless, not only is that stupid, but then they said, the director was like, we finally get to do what Spielberg always wanted to do, and that's show the prehistoric times on film. It's something he couldn't do back in the day. And I couldn't help but be like, says who? Says who? What do you mean? He made a fucking movie with about 1 billion dinosaurs in it, right? If he wanted to put a load of dinosaurs in the prehistoric times, he could have just done that. And in fact, like less than 10 years later, what is it, like 5 years, 6 years? Disney's Dinosaur comes out and does that. Clearly, it's not some great technical revolution where we finally can see the prehistoric times. Like, we've all watched Walking with Dinosaurs. We didn't watch Jurassic Park without watching fucking Walking with Dinosaurs. You're just doing it as like some weird. It's like this in again. It's almost an extension of the nostalgia bait. It's like they couldn't do this. We're fulfilling a prophecy that has been set out since the first film. It's like, no, the point in the film is that dinosaurs are now. That's the point in the film. They didn't waste time with dinosaurs are then, because everyone knows dinosaurs were then. What are we going to do? Watch a bunch of dinosaurs fight? Clearly so, because for 5 minutes we watch a bunch of dinosaurs fight and it's fucking boring. And then one of them dies. Oh, my God.
The reason it isn't in the original... I'm so happy I sparked that powder keg. But the reality is, it wasn't in the original because it didn't need to be, because Steven Spielberg and Mark Crichton realized that's not what the story is about, like you said.
Yeah.
This one, they've done it because they need an opening scene. They need action because they think the audiences are dumb and they're stupid and they can't go 30 seconds into their dinosaur movie without dinosaurs fighting each other.
Yeah, very
That's
true.
it. Then and the whole like appealing to this VFX. When are people going to realize that visual effects just aren't a drawing point anymore?
Yeah, it's not a spectacle anymore. That's not how it works. In Jurassic Park 1, the spectacle wasn't necessarily visual effects dinosaurs. The spectacle was realistic dinosaurs. And you could skip through this trailer and freeze on any frame of dinosaurs, and I would not be persuaded that looks like, I mean, still frames looks okay. When it moves, it doesn't. As soon as it starts moving, it doesn't. Like, that doesn't look real to me. That doesn't look like, doesn't even have the kind of haptic nature of like the Spielbergian one, right? Like these, they don't look real to me because I can see a horse there, and a horse is picking up way more light than the dinosaur that's running right next to it, allegedly. These horses have fucking sun on them, even though there are big dinosaurs in front of the sun, blocking the sun on them. So it's just like, it's not like it's bad VFX. It's just like when you're banking on the entire movie being VFX, dinosaurs being the pull factor. Like, as you say, why do you think people will want to see this? People want to see it because it's Jurassic World. I don't know, man.
In Jurassic World, the main plot point in the beginning is people are bored of dinosaurs and they need to make new dinosaurs, and it goes wrong. What a perfect metaphor for this series.
Yeah, where it's like the, not to spoil it too much, but the new Matrix has a little play with that whole spiel as well, doesn't it? It's like, except the Matrix did it understanding why they were doing it. This did it like completely tone deafly, didn't realize it was referencing itself in the first 10 minutes of the movie. I don't know, man.
There's like 3 levels to this, where there's this, where it's Jurassic World not realizing it's doing it. there's Force Awakens, which is quite clearly intentionally just retelling the same story.
Yeah.
They just don't really. They're obviously aware they're doing it, but it isn't like they don't they don't expose it themselves too much. And then there's Matrix Resurrections, where they do that, and then they make sure to tell you they know they're doing that. And all three, I think, are bad.
Yeah. Well, I think that it's all, just make new movies. I mean, there's no new information, is it? It's just make new movies. No, I mean, people go and see these movies, again, because they're hoping that someone will recreate their nostalgia. It's not a physical possibility. You're never going to have the perfect movie again. You can't shoot the same thing twice, and it just one of them magically is the same.
It must work for them, though. Chai, there are people who stand in convention halls and cheer out loud when they see trailers. Like, this does work for people.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait until episode 3, where we interview one of these guys live on this call, and we become a debate channel.
Should we put an ad listing out on r/Jurassic Park?
Why do you like Jurassic World? I'm in plenty of Facebook groups of them, so I mean, I can try and find some people. There are definitely some freaks in there. Anyway, the other thing, moving very quickly through this. You're right, bud. Moving very, very quickly. Kenobi, Ewan McGregor in the same desert that everyone's really bored of. Very excellent. We've seen nothing but this fucking desert in the last 9 Star Wars properties. No one cared then. No one cares now. I'm only going to watch it because it's beardy Ewan McGregor. That's about it.
Apparently, I don't know why or how I know this, but I've either read or heard that that's apparently only a starting point, and he does leave and go somewhere.
Okay, good. Wicked.
The
Wait,
thing is,
no, but sorry. Time out. He does leave and go somewhere? Well, he better take fucking baby Luke Skywalker with him, because that's the whole reason he's on that fucking desert in the first place.
Listen, he's just on a sabbatical. He's got a little holiday.
Yeah, he employed a babysitter while he's gone.
The thing is, again, all of these new stories, they're all just about themselves and about the movies that came before. I think that there is actually room to tell a good Obi-Wan Kenobi story if you adopt an actual genre. So if you think about the character after everything that happens in the prequels, where his order and faith crumbles and he's sort of left on his own, you could do something like a noir where he's off on Tatooine doing whatever shit he needs to do to make money so he can keep up his binocular budget while he watches over baby Luke. But then you have him do these odd jobs, and then you introduce elements of there's a bigger story that draws him away, and at first he doesn't want to do it, obviously, and then ends up you find the reason why he does. You have an old flame or whatever. And you then incorporate some of the ideas from the prequels of the Jedi Order being disbanded and how you have to be this sexless, emotionless robot guy. But obviously that doesn't exist anymore. So then you can introduce elements of him finding life outside of that. We have like a femme fatale character.
It goes to the brothels.
The brothels of all the Gungan prostitutes.
That is disgusting, man. Just some minor points that I'd like to point out. Quite like that the eye in Kenobi is his lightsaber handle.
Oh, it's his lightsaber? Oh, how cute is that?
That's quite sick. And then the other thing is that it's coming out May 25th, which is perhaps the fucking biggest missed opportunity they've ever done, ever.
Well, no, you say that, because what it actually is it's the 45th anniversary of Star Wars.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Boom.
Because we care about that more than we care about May the 4th Day. All right, sure. Okay, next. Morbius just looks like shit. Everything about this movie looks like shit.
Did you get a trailer for this before Uncharted yesterday?
No, I didn't. I see what I did get. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is what I got as my trailer. Holy shit.
No, the audience reaction to this trailer, it's just deafening how silent it was.
Who cares? I'll point out your problem. It's right there in the top 20 pixels of your of your poster, the top billing character, Jared Leto. Like, just fuck off. No one cares. Matt Smith just looks like glum again. I don't know what the poster design is here either, where he's got his like bat powers, and it's making him look like he's wearing some dumb like Zurg cosplay from Toy Story or something. I don't know, man. I really don't care about this movie. I don't know anyone who does. I literally don't know anyone who knows who Morbius is either. And part of, like, one of the only big publicity things that they had is that he references Venom at the end of the trailer. So if the only thing making your trailer popular is the fact that you reference a different character, where did the money go for this? I don't understand. And also, like, there's some weird things creeping in shot that like just don't look very good. I don't know, man. I don't know.
If we're still going April 1st. What a joke, by the way. April 1st is when you're releasing this movie.
Fuck's sake.
That's so good. This will be a headliner for sure.
And then obviously, last in the news is, of course, the Oscars, the nominations. The standard Oscars nominations bullshits. In terms of Best Picture, I think I look at these and I think half of these aren't going to win because they're like Netflixy. And then I think that rule of thumb for me, whenever we look at Oscar nominations, is what is the loudest film that came out in the year? Because that always wins. Or what is the one with the most shoehorned, obnoxious political message that's been put in with no real thought or care into it, and that's all that wins. There's been a few exceptions, but
I'd honestly say, if anything, it wouldn't even be that. It would be it's what appeals to the whole, like cinema aspect of it. I saw Belfast a couple of weeks ago, and I can honestly see them giving Best Picture to that, because there are scenes in the movie where it shows the escapism that movies offer.
Oh,
I'm not joking. That is why that they'd give it to the film. I mean, as a whole list, I'm just looking at the Belfast, King Richard, these are all like fine films in my opinion.
What about West Side Story? I haven't seen West Side Story.
Yeah, it's it's good. It's like the problem is you can't change the story. So the story is just Romeo and Juliet, and becomes incredibly disinteresting in the second half after they meet.
Yeah,
because then the rest of their scenes are just them looking at each other.
I see.
But it's well made, well put together. It looks great. The editing in the movie is actually really good. It's got some decent performances in it.
See, I think you say the editing's good. I cannot trust the Academy to choose a movie for good editing. They just don't understand. It's like, again, we say this every time about sound design and VFX. If they notice it's VFX, they give it the nomination, or they give it the win. If they notice the sound, they'll give it. When really, actually, indicative of better sound and better VFX are the ones that you can't see or you can't spot. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Dune took a load of the awards just because of the ripples it made this year.
Ripples in the sand it made.
Very funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like, that fits that that archetype of like big blockbuster movie that has enough crossover with like cinema that they like to do sometimes.
Arty cinema.
So that will probably, take a lot of the technical stuff. But I also just think it wasn't that great a year if you're looking at films though.
Yeah, I think you're right. I do think Dune has won Best Sound for sure. Encanto might win Best Score. Don't Look Up has not a fucking chance in hell. I really like the music in that movie, but not a fucking chance has that been nominated for any other reason than it was a movie that came out this year.
You need to watch Succession, by the way. Nicholas Britell, the music that he does for that show.
Beautiful.
Really good. Even if you just listen to it.
Yeah. No, I'll check it out. Sounds good. And then editing, maybe. I mean, I could see Tick Tick Boom being up there for editing just because there's like seamless transitions throughout the entire movie. So I could see them being like, oh, that's good editing. And then this is hilarious. I've already said this. The Encanto track that they put up, thinking, oh, this is the big track that we should push.
Let's just let it go.
And it's completely the wrong track. And the Bruno track went like bajillion multi-mega platinum or whatever because of TikTok. Because people like good music, not big music necessarily. But anyway. And then I think this insults me. Spider-Man being on Best Visual Effects, because out of the whole movie, that's maybe the worst part of the whole movie. I don't know. I always find that
the scene at the end with I mean, we can just talk about what actually happens in the movie, right? It's been out for 2 months or whatever. The whole Andrew Garfield like big emotional moment at the end where he saves Zendaya or whatever.
Yeah.
That's I still think that's the best like moment. It's the best character moment in the movie.
Yeah.
But it's completely undercut by the shot that precedes it, where it's this complete rubbery Stretch Armstrong Andrew Garfield landing and immediately jumping back up. It just looks so horrid.
They all look horrid. But also like, and we'll come to this when we talk about Uncharted in a minute. It's like you just can't physics. You just can't. You just can't. There's nothing wrong with using visual effects like CG replacement actors to do stunts and stuff. I think that's a great idea, and I think you can make it look really good. But you make it look really good in like I don't know, like when you cut it together with real stuff really, really well, or like so you remember that bit in Scott Pilgrim where Chris Evans like punts Michael Cera across like a car park into a scaffolding, and he rolls down the scaffolding, and they shot it twice with stuntmen, once with Michael Cera right at the bottom, not getting injured. And so the hit is completely CG. It then transitions into a real stuntman doing a roll. Then it transitions back to CG and back to Michael Cera at the end. Beautiful. Because you have the actual impacts, or the most important parts are like physically filmed. And so you have no like questions about, okay, why are they floaty? Why are they whatever? You're like, every time Spider-Man appears in a movie and he's a fully CG dude and he does a little swing and he does a little backflip or whatever, just looks fucking stupid. I can't look at it. It looks like someone has like just thrown like Play-Doh at a wall and just filmed it and then stuck it on top of like some green screen footage is what it looks like. Anyway, I think
people are saying they want...
Oh, go on.
Sorry, just to add on to that. People are saying they want a Spider-Man and Daredevil film. I can't imagine the just disconnect in visuals that would have if you try in any way to replicate the Daredevil stuff from the television show and then contrast that to the extravaganza of what they attempt with Spidey in all his films. It would be such a whiplash, I feel like. Yeah.
Oh, no, I think so. Definitely think so. But even like some of the other stuff, like Shang-Chi was on the list of best visual effects. Like even that, I know it's like overtly Marvel and stuff, but even that use of VFX isn't quite as like garishly overbearing as Spider-Man is every single time. Like every single Spider-Man movie that they've come out with is like, it must be, I mean, maybe it's not an actual like amount of visual effects thing. Maybe it's just because his suit is so bright. It just makes everything look shit. Like everything it's next to looks shit and the suit itself looks shit. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, let's not beat around the bush any longer. So Uncharted, what were your thoughts?
Going into it, let's say, because we have different perspectives on this. I've played all the games. I wouldn't say I'm a particularly huge fan. It's the classic thing of games journalism is obviously a bit of a joke.
Yeah.
Especially 10 years ago. So like every game is given 9 or 10 out of 10 because it's the classic thing of someone who's never stepped in an ocean will think a puddle is, or whatever to say. Completely butchered that just now.
Sure.
Anyway, they see a somewhat cinematic game with genuinely good visuals and graphics for the time, and then they're able to allow that to prop up however generic or whatever the storytelling is or the characters. But I would say they definitely get better with each game, to the point where I'd say the last one, the fourth one in 2016, I want to say, is a genuinely good story, and they actually, have developed characters and the conflicts they have and everything like that. It's genuinely good drama. And what's your experience with the series?
I have played the first 20 minutes of the first one and was like, not for me. I don't know what it is, and I've said this before, but I don't know what it is about just standard linear games where suddenly I feel like I'm stripped of my input into this story. And it's weird because linear stories in other games I'm hooked by. I don't know what it is, but I just can't. I look at Nathan Drake and just think do I want to be this guy? Do I want to experience what this guy is experiencing right now? No. Look at me. Do I need to be Nathan Drake? Do I need to look exactly like I do in this thing? I don't know. So there's always been a blocker for me before I've even started with them. So I went into this film almost completely blind, just knowing a lot about the franchise and not a lot about what I care about Nathan Drake and the bunch. But yeah. So what do you think? What was your walkout feeling?
I thought it was a complete flatline of a movie. I didn't think it was terrible, but I sat 2 hours watching it and didn't experience a single emotion.
I walked out feeling exactly the same. My initial thing when I walked out was oh my God, how are we going to do this podcast? Because so much nothing just happened in this movie. I can't dunk on it because it's not bad. I can't love it because it's not good. I don't know. How spoilery are we going here?
Oh, who cares?
Because I mean, I'm more because in terms of Uncharted, who gives a fuck? But in terms of the next episodes, we have to commit. If we're going to be a spoiler podcast, we're a spoiler podcast. But anyway, I think there was a bit, when they're when the film finally catches up to its intro, and you're about to see the next part, what you've been leading up to this whole time. You're about to see. I was sat there God, there must only be 10 minutes of this movie left, right? We've had 2.5 set pieces now. There absolutely can't be anything more to this movie. And then the most fucking preposterous, ridiculous set piece I've ever seen in a movie happens for the next hour or whatever the fuck it was. Oh my God. I had to check with you whether the whole boat stuff at the end was the whole story was in the game, because what the fuck?
So maybe we should back up. This movie is a complete Frankenstein's monster of the Uncharted games. I'm just assuming that it's meant to be some kind of cross-promotional tactic to make you buy the original games or the original trilogy or 4, where it's meant to be, these are all different set pieces or parts of the old games that you can go play.
Yeah.
And obviously it's also meant to be, baiting people who've played the games and go, oh, I recognize that. I recognize the sceneries falling out the plane with all the crates and everything. Yeah. But it's done in such a stitched together, completely, there's just no through line for any of it that doesn't really satisfy you as a fan, because you're just going to be thinking about how it's all taken apart from different bits without any of the heart of the games or major relationships that the characters have. But the whole point of enjoying the games for the most part is enjoying the kind of dialogue and banter between the characters. Except for all the main characters in this movie just kind of hate each other.
Yeah. I mean, there's elements of it where I quite like. By the end, I was quite swept by like Tom Holland and whatever his fucking name is. What's that guy's name? Can't even remember his name.
Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, that's the one. By the end, but maybe it's just because he's quite a charming actor. I was quite swept by their relationship by the end. And I don't mean by the end, like, act that made us supposed to feel like that. I kind of like, I got numb to the rest of the movie and just kind of liked how he like, Mark Wahlberg was just needlessly a cunt for the entire time. Like, not even like with any... The whole like, oh, wealth is the driving force for this, but he's not particularly wealthy. He doesn't win with wealth at the end. Like, he's just needlessly an asshole to everyone he meets for seemingly no reason. So I quite like
him
that.
as a character. I was so baffled by how just unlikable they make the Sully character for the whole movie, and like even Nathan Drake. It's the most lazy, boring thing where they start the movie of his brother was always interested in this thing, and he now thinks the treasure is his way of getting back to his brother or fulfilling that or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just the classic thing of they think they can have that minute-long scene where he talks with the brother and think that's enough. Yeah. When all we know about his brother is that he just gets his little brother in trouble and in the hands of the police.
Yeah. Is just a crazy kleptomaniac who like is teaching his brother to be a Boy Scout, like murder escapee or something, Yeah, I agree. I thought, like, going back to my point earlier on Spider-Man's visual effects, I honestly think that like Sony just like copied the models from Spider-Man and just put like a texture of Tom Holland without the suit over the top of this like smooth flat man. And like there's bits where he's like fucking tumbling out of planes and shit. Like the opening scene, you open with like this really, really like uncanny valley, disgusting CG body double of Tom Holland doing like crazy flips that are impossible and stuff.
You know what I was thinking? There's a particular wide in that bit where he's falling through all the crates, and it shows obviously CG him, but he looked taller than Tom Holland. I went, oh my god, it's the game. It just looked like the Uncharted game, where it was this CG dude dressed up as Nathan Drake falling through all this other CG stuff. I was like, wow, this is incredible. And it cut back to little Tom Holland. I was like, oh, all right.
See, I had almost the polar opposite of you. I was like, why didn't they just use the game for this bit? Like, why didn't they just use the models from the game? It would have looked better. I don't know, man. There are, to be fair though, as a fan of like dumb, ridiculous, generic, or like. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, throw everything at it until it is ridiculous. Like, they've got the most boring generic story with the most boring generic characters, and their answer to this problem is just like throw random extreme set pieces onto it so that there's never a moment where the audience can think about how dumb this story is. As a fan of dumb set pieces, it does have its fair few of like very enjoyable to watch ones, if that makes sense. Like the whole auction house thing. I know it's been done like 1 billion times and everything like that, but the whole auction house scene, just because of how like unapologetically it's just doing the same story, except they're gonna make like a load of random shit happen in the middle of it, like where he falls off the balcony thing and he's hanging from the lights and he's like kicking out all the lights in the middle of this auction. I don't know. There's something about that just captivates me. But yeah.
See, that scene in the auction house where he's escaping, all I could think of was like the classic Jackie Chan action films.
Yeah.
Because obviously he's on like the glass pillar with the bowls, and I was like, oh my god, this would be so much cooler if he was doing this. He'd just be like cutting his hands up left and right, falling down all of them, and kicking the shit out of people.
Yeah. I mean, I thought maybe it's just because I'm numbed by just like trash action in movies now. Like, what was that one recently? I'm really struggling to remember what movie it was recently, where it was like, it was Matrix. It was Matrix, where, because they're all old, they're all moving at like, at like a mile an hour, when like someone goes for a roundhouse kick and they're like really, really, you can see how much it's stretching all their joints and stuff, rather than like, I thought this had like really pacey, to the point, like punctuated like choreography and stuff. Like I was quite swept by some of the action in it, like particularly there's that bit towards the end where they're like, okay, well, let's fuck up everyone on this pirate ship, and that, like, I don't know, Wahlberg swings out on one of the ropes and like kicks a dude right in the face, and like
it's also just completely out of character though, that bit. Like, we see he just does nothing the whole film. It is just him relying on Nathan Drake. And all of a sudden he has this everything he wants, and he just says, nah, screw it. I'll just grab this rope and swing across this flying pirate ship. Yeah.
But like all of that action is like pretty fun. And then there's that one bit where, and I know you've tipped me off that you want to talk about the music usage. There's the one bit in the whole film where the theme plays for like less than, other than in the credits, where the theme plays for less than like half a second, where presumably they're like doing a poster shot or something, or presumably they're doing a recreation of a scene in the game, or a cover art recreation, where Tom Holland's just put the strap thing, the gun straps on, and he pulls out a gun and he sticks his arm out to his side, and you have this like profile shot of him looking somewhere, and it's so forced in, and that's where the music plays. It
isn't
that.
Some swelling moment of triumph. It's just this weird transition period during the final action scene, where he's just dealt with some random no-name guard, and he's now walking around. It's like in a Fallout game where you've like finished killing a bunch of mechs, and now you're just going looting all the bodies. Like that is when you swell the theme.
Yeah. I don't know.
But you're also wrong, Charlie, because there is another time before that when they use the theme.
Oh boy.
The shot after they've crash landed from the plane and they're rocking up to that resort. The theme swells during that bit.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Is you're gonna have to less fitting moment.
You're gonna have to explain to me that there's the dude on the beach. What the fuck is that about? Is that must Nolan be? North. I was thinking it was Nolan North. So
that's Dr. Richtofen.
Yeah. So why? Okay, sorry. Why does he have one leg? Does Nolan North have one leg? Did you see this?
What are you talking about?
He had one leg. Go back. We gotta someone find a cam rip. I swear to God, he has one leg.
I don't think he did. I think he was lying on a sun lounger, with like
just
one
in a
leg
really
bent.
weird position. Maybe.
I guess.
I don't know.
He grinds the movie to the halt.
I knew it was. I guessed it was Nolan North. I couldn't tell because of his voice, even because maybe just because I was so numbed by the rest of the fucking thing. But I could have sworn he had one leg, and I thought that was going to be like some prominent moment. Like, why does this guy have one leg on this sun lounger? Really, he doesn't. Oh my God, so fun.
No, but no, they referenced games through him because that's what fans want, I guess.
Yeah,
some completely distracting scene that lasts 15 seconds.
Yeah, but to be fair, the whole resort scene kind of has no point. They get there, they use Mark Wahlberg's credit card to pay for it. She nicks the thing and fucks off just so that she can't be in the action scenes at the end. And
she just disappears until the end and doesn't grow as a character or learn or do anything.
Yeah, like she bails on him. Very epic. He knew she was going to bail. We're nowhere. We got nowhere in that scene. It was just an excuse for her to just not be on the pirate ships at the end.
Well, you need the cool down scene. You need the 10 minutes where there's no action happening.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Not in a movie like that. No, you don't. Oh man. Yeah.
So just to fill you in, because we didn't give opinions before, but last night you got out of the movie and said, "Is that based on the first game?" And I
Yeah.
said a hard no. I'm trying to think if there's anything from the first game other than it just being no, maybe not anything, because Sally and Nate already know each other in the first game. The majority of it is based on stuff from the fourth game, where you find out Nate had a brother that he hasn't seen in years, and they're looking after this pirate treasure that they find in an old ship. But the story involves a brother, like he comes back and everything, so that's completely dissimilar from this. And it's got the auction house scene is repurposed from that, except for that's in some Italian black market manor, not just a random street corner in New York that Nathan Drake lives 2 blocks from.
Yeah. We need to talk about Antonio Banderas just like being the worst, objectively the worst villain I've ever seen in any of these types of movies ever. Like the fact that there's 3 scenes of him asking the same thing of his dad, and his dad saying no every single time. No. Like, I don't know what the point in that was.
No, and the movie tries to pretend it's subverting that by, should we just say anyway?
Yeah.
They bait and switch who the actual villain of the movie is going to be. Then they replace them with a character who has just as little motivation of just wanting money. They just want to find it first because
they do or whatever. And like the idea that the whole crew watched this happen and go, oh yeah, we were in on it the whole time. Like like not a single one of them went, no, I quite like Antonio Banderas. I don't want him to, I want to work for him. He hired me or whatever, like it's like completely out of the question. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it was like, again, it's so like nothing entertained me, nothing bored me. I just switched off for 2 hours. And then I messaged you as the credits rolled. I checked, like, this was dumb. Is there anything I should have known about before this, whatever? And like, I don't know, I was just watching these credits roll, and I see there's 2 post-credit scenes in a fucking supposedly standalone movie. There's 2 post-credit scenes, and I stumbled into both of them because I didn't intend to watch either of them, and if I had the choice now to know that they were coming, I would have walked out before they played. But both of them happened, and I'm just sat there like already just wanting to leave, like just being slow to leave, finishing up my popcorn or whatever.
I mean, I just immediately left the movie the second the credits hit, because I knew it was coming, because I've seen the unskippable trailer on YouTube for the last 2 weeks straight, where there's the mustache scene. Yeah, and I knew when I saw that isn't in the actual movie. That's going to be some credits BS that they're going to tease you with. And I didn't want to give them the satisfaction of sitting through that.
Why does everything do that? Like even Sonic did that with Eggman.
Oh, Tails.
Well, no, Eggman.
Oh, and Eggman. Oh,
yeah. Sonic did that with Eggman, where he's like, in the trailer they showed the shot of him looking like Eggman, presumably because they shot it after they had to replace Sonic, because they realized that they did the wrong thing for the fans by changing up the look of everything. So the fans got angry. Then they're like, "Oh, quick! Eggman needs switching out. We need to go film a scene with Jim Carrey bald with a big mustache." That was in the trailer. That was like a big part of the trailer. It was like one of his only big parts of the trailer. And then, that's the post-credit scene.
I think the first time I remember that happening is the first Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. There's a post-credit in that, or like the lizard, the magical lizard is in a cell.
Yeah.
And then the post-credit scene is him talking to a mysterious figure who I don't believe they even know who it would be at the time.
Yeah.
I think that was thrown in one of the trailers to be like an all mystery. That's right, because the whole movie was advertised as this like, there's a hidden mystery behind all this, and then the movie actually isn't about that at all. It's what the next movie is about.
I see. Yeah. My God. There you go. Yeah, would
Oh,
I recommend it? No. Would I not recommend it? No. It's on, see it, go. I don't know. Well, don't. There's better movies out right now. I don't know.
like what
What?
though? What's
Oh
out?
yeah, I suppose. Well, like Jackass, I
Nightmare
suppose is
Alley
more
played for
fun.
a week. Oh, that's true. Yeah, go see Jackass. Jackass Forever is a rollicking good time. If you don't
Hey.
mind seeing the odd taint.
For fuck's sake. I'm off to see the old taint today. I'll report back next week. But yeah.
One last thing to mention on the movie. The From the second it was announced the casting of Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg, just everyone knew what it was going to be, which is just them playing themselves.
Yeah.
And I am waiting for the point where, or if Tom Holland reaches a Ryan Reynolds phase,
Yeah.
where
He's
movies
close.
just rely on him. Because the thing is, Tom Holland's default performance as an American character is just it's a lot blander than the Ryan Reynolds out there wackiness.
Yeah.
So I feel like it isn't going to get as grating as quickly.
Yeah.
But I still think he'll have to work more to build up the mileage. But
yeah.
I reckon the internet turns on Tom Holland at some point.
Well, I mean, because the whole movie smelled like that was coming, didn't it? Like just how he acts in it and how he is just him. And then Mark Wahlberg's the same, but at least Mark Wahlberg is like has a vaguely like he's the most like bland actor ever, but because he's come in through like a comedy side route, he's also got like charm. He's like bland. You hire him because he can do exactly what is written on your page, exactly how it's written, and he can do it with a half smile that makes people happy when they watch him. Whereas Tom Holland is just like, I could have watched a brick fall out of that plane and it would have been the same emotions I could have been feeling as it was happening, you know?
Yeah. One extra last thing I want to point out, because when the Tom Holland casting came, and everyone was up in arms. There was the line fed of like, this is going to be the young Nathan Drake and all that. How young would you say flashback Nathan Drake is at the beginning of the movie when he's talking to his brother?
Well, so they say it's 15 years prior.
Yeah.
And he looks about like, what does he look? He's like 12, 13?
Yeah, I was going to say 13, 14. So that makes this a late 20s, almost going on 30 Nathan Drake, played by Tom Holland.
How old is Tom Holland? 25?
Yeah, I'm assuming mid-20s, bit older than us. Yeah, we missed our chance to be cast as Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's very sad. But I don't know, man, because like, yeah, like why? It's not. No, I guess my brain is telling me that they looked at whatever his name is, the guy. What's the guy who like loves Uncharted and always wanted to be in the movie? What's the guy's name?
Nathan Fillion.
He had his app and everything. If you remember that. Yeah, no. So I guess they looked at him and were like, oh no, he's a bit too old now to be Nate. Or whatever, if they're going to call him Nate throughout the whole movie as well. You know, I don't know. Maybe they looked and they were like, no, he's a bit rusty. He wouldn't be able to.
Well, he's also just not a drawer, is he?
The amount of times Tom Holland's shirtless in that movie as well pissed me off.
Shirtless Tom Holland is ridiculous.
Yeah, well, it's just like
that actually it really annoyed me in the opening, the opening montage where you're meant to build his character and show us what he's like and some traits about him. And no, they just have him do some pull-ups and push-ups.
Yeah,
and that's what we get to learn about him.
Yeah, but well, I'd counter that with like the bartending stuff he's quite charming when he's doing his that whole scene where he meets that lady and he flirts with her just to get her bracelet or whatever. That sets for me, that set him up perfectly because he flirts with a bit of history. He's got charisma when he does it. She calls him, oh, you're a creep or whatever, or you're weird, and then he does the bait and switch. And there's the line that I really liked is the line about the lighter, where the lighter's broken as fuck throughout the whole movie, but he just got her bracelet, so he says, she's like, oh, you need to get one that works or whatever, and he's like, oh, it does work. Like that for me, I remember, wraps that up in a bow. That's like, okay, I know who this character is now. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I guess it
I
would have
still
been a
think
little
they-
bit overbearing if they did it in the montage as well. But I don't know.
Well, I mean something on top of that, just an extra little trait or something they can play off later that they can bring in when they're looking at research or trying to solve whatever.
Yeah. Oh, and that's funny as well. The whole fucking they do this in every movie, so I find it's a bit redundant to point at it. It's like a cinema sins thing here, but like this age-old book has this drawing of the logo of a church that is like the most famous church in the whole of fucking Barcelona, and not a single person looked and went, "Oh, that's that pine tree from that, that church called the Church of the Pine Tree," or something.
And they go like, "Oh, it's called an altar cross. I never thought it would have anything to do with a religion or a church." Like,
and there's that bit with Wahlberg, and he looks at this thing that is blatantly the two keys on top of each other, and he goes, "Oh, that looks like two keys on top of each other." And it's like, for fuck's sake, there's loads of that. And like even the brother, every time the brother's messages are read, he reads it out loud and stuff.
Yeah, that annoyed me.
I don't know.
Because we're dumb, Charlie. We won't get it. We don't have enough time to read the thing that's on screen for 10 seconds.
Yeah. Like, I guess my question is, who did they think plays the games? Or who did they think, more accurately, who did they think played the games? As in, the people who would actually be excited about this movie are people who played this game when it came out or whatever, rather than people who currently play them necessarily. Like, what age bracket did they think, or what level of brain did they think actually played these games? Or maybe they just weren't going for that.
I think they're going off the teenage boy and up into the man-child era of people who have played it.
So that's man-children.
Yeah, and then they get also to target the young girl demographic who want to see the scenes of Tom Holland in his wet shirt.
Shirtless, yeah. Of course. No. I mean, I don't care about shirtless dudes. Literally could not give a fuck. You could show me a whole movie about shirtless dudes and I'd love it. But just the amount of times that it's so unnecessary for him to just pop up shirtless just pissed me off. Because you smell the corporate bullshit every time he comes on screen like it. You smell like, oh yeah, he was hired because he has epic abs and, can do shirtless scenes like this epically or whatever. The perfect one for me was he's got a load of research up on his window in front of him. And it's a wide from outside the window. And he's stood. We're supposed to believe that he's reading this research and really thinking about it. And he's not even doing the like, I'm thinking thing with his like chin. He's just stood with his chest out flexed and like his shoulders out as wide as they can. And he's not even looking at the paper. He's just looking off in the distance as a buff man. Like that's the whole point in that shot, is just to see buff man. Like, I don't know. Is the director like someone who is like competent?
He did Venom.
Oh, okay. Fuck. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Do you know about that, by the way? The film's had like 5-6 different directors over the years while they've tried to make it.
Oh, what, Uncharted? Yeah. I've seen that this is like the bajillionth time that they've tried to. Yeah. Funny. Hilarious.
So, yeah.
Cool.
Ruben Fleischer, however you pronounce his name. That's him.
Interesting. Oh, there you go. Fuck's sake. Of course it is. All right. Well, I think that's maybe a good place to call it. Should you watch Uncharted if there's literally nothing else on in your cinema? If it's the only thing playing, I would say yes. If not, watch anything else. You will get more from anything else.
It's the classic thing of like a young kid will like it because they'll forget about everything else and just remember the action.
Yeah. Well, like me, like I just don't remember any of the stuff that happened in between the action, and that's maybe why I'm so satisfied. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Wouldn't say I think I thought it was a good movie.
No.
I would think it was. It leans towards bad, mainly just leaves you empty.
Yeah. I don't think it's one of those things where I would never genuinely look a friend in the eye and be like, oh, you should see this movie. You know, very few movies do that to me, but this especially, like, there's not even a parallel universe where that would happen. I don't think. Like, nothing.
About Enemy. Would you look an enemy in the eye and say you should?
Well, but this is the thing, because then the enemy would enjoy the action scenes and think I gave them a really nice recommendation. So I don't really, you know, again, it's, I don't hate it, and I really, really don't like it either. So it's wet bread. Go watch your wet bread.
I say, flatline.
Yep. Anyway, so this was the first episode of our feature presentation. What do you think? Please send us hate mail as quick as you can, especially Star Wars fans. We're looking forward to getting you on the podcast at a later date.
Please comment every single thought you have, especially if it's bad.
We love that. We might read some of them if there are any good ones, any belters. Yeah, I don't know.
What are we doing next time? Are you going to watch any of the Boba Fett show? I need a therapy session where I just talk about this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll agree to that. I'll watch like 3 episodes. Select 3 episodes. I will watch them. Or actually, I could probably guess by the like amount of backlash each episode had, which ones are the ones to watch. But yeah. If you enjoyed, subscribe. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. That's what that logo beneath me is. You didn't know what that logo was. Yeah, I don't know. Check it out. Stick around. See you in the next one. That kind of stuff. Any further comments, George?
No.
Excellent. Well, thanks, team.